The Sim Racers Performance Guide, your guide to race setup, strategy, driver performance. Dive in deep, learn about suspension, aero, braking, drivetrain, with a 77-page manual packed full of hours of video tutorials as well.
Hello, I'm Jack Nichols and welcome to
Who's going to break Haystack's world title?
Look at these two go.
Itchy Hoy is going to do it, his first victory.
The World Championship is done. What a race it's been.
We've seen two very exciting races to kick off the season, but the jubilations of the 2026 Formula SimRacing World Championship doesn't end there. We've had the thrilling start in Melbourne, then another thrilling triplet battle for the lead in Suzuka, and today we host the first night race of the 2026 season here at the World Championship. The track that was first made in 2004 has seen some amazing, incredible moments in FSR, with Pro providing a fundamental, exciting race just a few hours ago. We can expect the same, in fact, even more in Bahrain here as the World Championship reaches over to the Middle East for the Bahrain International Circuit, as we get to see the FSR challengers properly solidify their title contention here today for the remaining season ahead. Hello everyone, very warm welcome to the third round of the FSR World Championship for the 2026 year running. Remco is here for the broadcast directed side of things, with the 10 minutes of qualifying, the 57 laps of racing upon us. David O'Reilly joins me again, recently just from the pro seat here to take the co-commentary position. How are you, David?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Looking forward to an interesting race, which sounds like a bit of a cliche, but it's a very different track to what we've had. Very different to Suzuka, which absolutely brutalised the tyres. And here, there's not a whole lot of high G corners, except for the one that Herman Tilke seemed to copy from Sepang, turn 10 and 11. And the rest of them are pretty sort of slow to medium complexes with a real premium on traction on exit. So very different story in terms of the skills, and very different story in how the car should be set up. And yeah, and it's going to be interesting with strategy as well. We've got live weather again within rFactor 2, so but we're not expecting any rain in the desert.
Yep, it's Alex Laho, who has already won the first two races. He's going to be on course and try and make it a three-peat. His countryman back in the pro, Cedric Bill, had his winning streak come to an end just recently, as it was Van Leeuwen in the Optimal that clinched the win back in the Pro Championship. And we're going to see the same thing with Alex Laho. Is his winning streak going to come to an end? Time will certainly tell. 10 minutes of qualifying now begins, as drivers going to navigate through this notoriously pretty difficult 16 corners. Again, the track has been formed in 2004, and as you said, a lot of different track characteristics for here, with Turn 1 being relatively fast, the second sector having those S's falling through with that infield straight, and the third sector has a bit more wide radii corners as well, and also the double apex coming through to the final corner being all the more important with that DRS. 3 DRS as well, one at the home stretch, one just coming through the switchbacks of turns 1, 2, and 3, and we have got one out of the 9 and 10, as you said, was a notoriously high G corner, and also again pretty difficult to get right. Janusz Brakshock currently holds on to a purple middle sector, just got beaten by Rajek Snowden in the 7 hours, is going to go through to his first lap, and we can now start to see the timing screens come onto the board as they all start to set their benchmarks. Currently, the one to beat, Brashok holds on to a 25.7, a really good one to start this one. And Schluter falls from behind, a 10th off. Loic Meunier, though, does have something to respond. Hasn't been purple, but he's definitely gone fastest with a 25.694. And that is a really, really good lap there from the Frenchman.
Yeah, Brashok was looking very quick in the practice session. So he's certainly on it. But Loic Meunier on that first go has beaten him by, 300ths or 33 thousandths of a second. Janos Brashok has been gradually getting stronger and stronger. He was very quick at the end of last season, and I think he had the pace to win at Suzuka, but he was slightly outfoxed by some clever tactics. So I'm quietly thinking that Janos Brashok might have something really good to do here in round 3.
We'll see. Definitely, time will tell. 10 minutes, not quite a lot for these drivers, but since Bahrain is relatively short, I think it's shorter than the other tracks that we have raced a little bit previously. I think it can sort of maximize the lap opportunities that they have. So Brashok, he's only about 300, so he can improve even further. Only just Saracino, Murno, Marsa, and Ilekis have yet to add a time onto their boards. And speaking of which, championship leader Alex Laho is currently sitting at 6. He's about 2/10 away from the provisional pole time at the minute, which is quite surprising. Even Jan Granqvist has also outperformed him, so a little bit unfortunate there for Laho, as he's can maybe see his championship lead come a bit under threat here, for sure.
Yeah, Peter Burlak, very quick with his first lap as well, 0.163 off pole, a multiple FSR champion. He's got the full set, all 3 divisions, but he's been away from FSR for a couple of years. So, but a guy that's not used to not being on the podium. So he's getting his eye in, and perhaps we're going to see a resurgence of that incredible Peter Burlak talent come to the fore this evening.
Look too soon. Schluter holds to a purple first sector, and Marsa does punch the Invictus Motorsports up into the top 10 with a fantastic lap. Schluter just outperformed Laho into the first sector, so Laho will be one of the first to go through to the second sector, but looking still ahead with Schluter holding that ground effect that had a very good season last time round, as he clinched the World Championship, I believe, last year, and was going to try and hope to favor his chances even more. Brashok holds onto the purple middle sector. Schluter goes across the line as a 37.724 for him, so he's about 2/10 slower than what Brashok is currently doing. And if I remember, these two are just about a 10th or 1300ths away from each other. Brashok goes for across the line, and that's a new provisional pole position for himself, a 25.565. Can Schluter respond? He does, but it's not going to be enough to take pole position. He still improves, and that demotes Loic Meunier from first all the way down to third with the improvements from Brashok and Schluter. Jan Granqvist coming down through to the final quarter in the ALM MV Conquest. He's green along the board. He's going to push that gap between himself and his teammate even more. And it does seem to be like that, but he still remains in 5th. Briliak goes across the line. He will still remain where he is, even though it's an improvement.
Yeah, 4th place, 0.150 off pole, puts him in 4th. Got the top 5 within a quarter of a second. And certainly the top 6 guys at the moment, they can all compete for the win. I think all of that top 6, other than Peter Burlak, have all podiums in the previous 2 rounds, or within the previous 2 rounds. So it's the usual suspects filling out the top 6 at the moment. But Peter Burlak really the big mover up in terms of pace compared to round 1 and round 2.
Yeah, you saw Canzonieri just a bit of the spin come through the final quarter, just a little bit too eager on the throttle, and as a result holds into the pits with 2 minutes and 30 to go. I think he will have time for another run under his hands, as everyone is going to start eyeing up for, there are either 2 runs or last runs now. with, again, 2 minutes onto the clock. So Brashok, I think, is going to eye for 2 runs in this qualifying run. He's still got a 10th away, and he's going to try and hope to maybe push that a little bit more. Schluter himself, even though he got second place, it is still only about 200ths away from Munier, who holds on to 3. Briliak, as we said, they're all about 200ths away from each other, and then Jan Grankvist 800ths, and again Laho 1300ths, and then after that you can just sort of see that gap kind of extend between Laho and Zeuuw. So really, time will tell if that gap is going to get bridged towards the end of qualifying. Saracino in the Squire Nation Motorsport eSports, he gets himself up into the top 10 with a brilliant all green sector lap time from him, and he is the highest place Italian in the FSR World Championship on the grid at the moment. A minute and 12 to go. So Zeuuw is going to be one of the first to complete through this run, and he spins around, coming out through to the 3rd sector, bangs into the wall. That will be his qualifying done, especially when you consider those tires must be absolutely really impacted and can really feel from that spin.
Yeah, the softs are very fragile. One spin and they are not going to give off their best again. So within the race, you've really got to manage those softs. I mean, you can abuse them in qualifying. You only need to get the out lap and a hot lap. I'm noticing that Loic Munier has just started a fresh hot lap, and he's in 3rd. I'm going to keep an eye on how he shapes up over the 1st sector, because this, yes, it's a good 1st sector. It's 0.2 quicker than Brashok's sector 1 for his pole lap. So Loic Munier is really turning it on. If it stayed the way it is at the moment, Amir, I think this is the Schluter and Brashok. I think this is both their best performances in qualifying so far. Certainly Mark Schluter. I think he's. I'll go and look it up before we go to the race, but I've got a feeling he hasn't had a front row start so far. I mean, we're only in round 3, but he's facing some incredibly tough competition this year if he hopes to defend his World Championship.
Yeah, the Checkified drops. Brashok can't improve anymore, so the 25.565 is the definite target for Munier and Schluter to do. Munier has gone purple in the 1st sector. He's gone green in the middle. Is a slightly enough final sector going to be enough to snatch pole position? It might well truly be a 25.469 at the very last moment. Briliak goes across the line. He cannot improve. Schluter already green in the 1st sector. We have to see if he goes across the line. He goes across the line. He does, but he will remain in 3rd. Up to Jan Grankvist and Laho now, both into 5th and 6th. Grankvist can't improve into the 1st sector. Does improve into the 2nd sector. A very good improvement in the middle sector could be enough for himself to gain positions. Is it going to do it though? For the Finnish driver, through to the line he goes. It is going to be improvement, but he will still remain in 5th. Here we go, the championship leader, the Frenchman of Alex Laho. He's currently holding on to 6th. Is he going to let his teammate beat him? We're going to see one more improvement from the Frenchman. Through to the line he goes. He does improve, but he will still be behind his teammate and will still be in 6th. And that will be it for the qualifier run. Loic Munier manages to get a pole position added to his books and will be starting at P1 for MV Conquest. Janusz Brashok in 2nd, and Mark Schluter rounds up for the top 3. Fantastic qualifying we have seen there. Loic Munier, last minute improvement. He was actually one of the few to improve positions come through to the line, and he will take that pole position any day of the week for Bahrain Grand Prix. Janusz Brashok for Guatemala, very good from him as he starts in 2nd place with Mark Schluter for Ground Effect. That has been Ground Effect's highest performing qualifying, I believe, as he's into P3. Peter Briliak for MV Conquest is in 4th, and it's Jan Grankvist beats his teammate Alex Laho, 5th and 6th for them both, ahead of Zeuuw, who completes over through a 2.7 for his team. George Zalianis for Ground Effect is over in 8th, with Lucas Murno from Timno Hosting is in 9th, and Giuseppe Canzonieri does manage to break into the top 10 the last moment for Vale eSports. For over to the rest of the 19 car field is Giuseppe Saracino for Squire Nation that just misses out. He starts in 11th, follows with Matthew Tucson for Invincius in 12th, William Snowden for Several Irons is 13th, with Nando Marcer in 14th. Anyways, Sweezy is in 15th with Van den Hudding for Valleys in 16th. Zabialecki's for 7 Hours is in 17th with Leila Perchalia, the last of the finished runners for Elk International. She's in 18th, and Janssen Vince does manage to attend the server but couldn't quite set a proper qualified run. He'll be starting at P19. Great run. That was a very, very fantastic run, and we've still got a race ahead of our hands. But to really learn how Bahrain has been not only just a fan favorite, but also a driver's favorite, it's important to have a look at the layout just to see the magic that the circuit has brought since 2004. Here we go. We'll have a look over through to a hot lap in this short clip.
Hi guys, welcome to this track preview of Bahrain, a real power track with long straights and heavy braking zones. Speaking of which, here we have one. Brake as late as you can, don't mess up the apex. Also, remember not to mess up the exit, as I do here, because here we head into a real nice overtaking opportunity. But remember, all the time you have to leave it a space. Again, brake late, there's a couple of lines you can take through here. The banking changes as you go through, and expect some side-by-side racing right into the S's here. This is an opportunity to push or save your tires a bit, as we now head into a couple of really awkward corners. It's easy to light up the rear here, but you'll pay the price later. And then we head into one of the most awful corners on the track. It's turn 10. Where's the apex? I don't know. I'll mess it up next time again. But in any case, we get another straight where maybe we can overtake at the end of it, but it will be difficult, especially because of the nature of the corners. These are some fast corners, and as your tires start to wear, especially this corner can be tricky on the exit. Just stay smooth and you'll be fine. Fun fact, originally the Grand Prix of Bahrain was held during the day, but this was later changed to a night race, as it's more difficult to see all the dust blown on the track. And then we head into the final corner, which is really difficult on the exit, easy to crash there, but make sure you keep it smooth, carry the speed, and then try and make the overtake into turn 1 again. And then that's a lap at the Bahrain track.
The SimRacers Performance Guide, your guide to race setup, strategy, driver performance. Dive in deep, learn about suspension, aero, braking, drivetrain, with a 77-page manual packed full of hours of video tutorials as well.
Big warm welcome back to the trackside warm-up is just getting underway, slowly reaching its conclusion in a very short moment. In about 4 minutes or so, we will be able to see the start of the qualifying runs. But we didn't really have a proper look at the standings, but Alex Zeuuw, as aforementioned during qualifying and mentioned during the race, holds on to a 50-point lead, and it's about 24 away from... 14 away from Mark Schluter, who's holding on to second place at the moment. Loic Munier to get his first win. This could well and truly be the time that he might very well clinch it on his end if he can convert that pole position to a race win. But he got first podium back in Suzuka. So Jan Grankvist as well, he started on pole position back in Suzuka, but he only finished in 8th after a series of mistakes in Suzuka, so it's going to hope his fortunes kind of favour around come for this round in Bahrain. And Jan Grankvist, as we said, one of his best qualifying performances in the World Championship, at least for this season, and the fact that he's going to be starting the front row means that his likelihood of getting a win is also kind of increased as well, as he's eyeing for his first win as well. So Schluter, Munia, Gregfus, Brushak, Riliak all eyeing for their first win after Alex Loho has taken the first 2 this season. So we'll get to see if Loho can make it a 3P, or we can see someone else bring up to the challenge. But on to the rest of them, Nader Master for Grand Effect, his position has been 7th, so he's going to see if he can prove that even more. Same with William Snowden, who's also finished. Snowden has actually finished P9 twice, and well, it could be pretty funny if he does it for 3, but we'll see what will be in store for him. Swazi, the Tunisian, manages to get 6th last time round in Suzuka after finishing 13th previously, and Christian Pascal for the Squire Nation Esports, he already scored. He already finished 6th previously in Melbourne, and well, this is going to be his second. I think it's his second no-show, and I think Sweezy is also no-show as well for this race. But that's how it looks like for the top 10. At least it'll definitely change. Maybe we'll see how Bahrain kind of develops that. But David O'Reilly, glad to have you back for us once again. How are you feeling for the anticipation for this race ahead?
Yeah, well, they'll be about to start the formation lap soon, and it should be a lot of fun. We've got one of the drivers is a bit worried about their cooling level. It's one of the warmer evenings that we've raced at, 24 degrees in downtown Bahrain, and so that's what we've got in the simulation. In fact, we're just going to, excuse me one sec, I've just got to send a message to the driver.
The race going to go ahead 57 laps as well, so it's and as you said, quite high temperatures, even though it is night. It's part of the Middle East climate, so not only do these drivers have to be pretty careful, not just on the formation lap to not get those revs high to, you know, suffer from overheating, but also the race itself. You can't rely on the slipstream, but your engine does need to breathe as well at the same time. So you can expect to see, especially during the start of the race, drivers are not going to maybe take the usual suspect of, oh, I'll just use the slipstream to try and get past them. No, they're going to buy their time. They're going to, you know, not utilize as much of the slipstream for the start as they want, just because they're thinking of the long road ahead. They're thinking about their engine and about how much to cool. Is everything okay, David?
Sorry, I did a misclick. I clicked load next circuit rather than next session. So I have made a mistake. I'm going to try and correct that now.
Yeah, Alex Loho has kind of caught your worry, but apologies for that. To the drivers, we will get back into the actual server in just a few minutes, but until then, we have a look over through to the rest of the calendar as we can finally confirm for the community vote who has won. So Bahrain, Azerbaijan, those have been the ones that have been the staple ever since that FSR was announced. But the winners was the Circuit de Villeneuve in Canada. That's going to be hosting. That actually won the track vote, so they got first in I think they did in oh boy, I need to just to be sure. No, it wasn't. It was my apologies, I got the ones wrong. It was Silverstone that won the track vote, so they will host the 5th round of the championship at the 21st of June. The next one that won was, I believe it was Monza over here. So Monza hosts in Autodromo di Nazionale. Monza hosts for the Italian Grand Prix, and with that in mind, the Baku City Circuit was the other one that won, and that's going to be hosting well, actually very soon after this round. So the Baku City Circuit we have hosted in the circuit before, but it's been a very long while. It just narrowly missed out on the 2024 track votes, so now it makes a great return to well, much fanfare from both drivers and from the fans as well. So that's all very good to know. But yeah, all right. Our first Middle Eastern one, I think it's our only one, in fact. And we won't return to Asia until Singapore at the 30th of August. And actually, we've got 2 back-to-back street circuits before we make a return to a permanent street circuit. A permanent circuit in the form of Silverstone come June. But yeah, it's honestly a good calendar. It's quite. I mean, Baku just narrowly won by about 1 vote, I believe, which is. Talk about close margins. We have close margins both off on the track, and now we have close margins off the track, and the dates have sort of been shuffled as well to not be in conflict with any F1 races. So everything is kind of offset with that, which is perfectly fine. But it's oh no, the Baku City Circuit does make its debut, actually. So it's the first time ever that the Formula Sim Racing hosts Azerbaijan. I did get that a bit wrong. Okay, we're just a few minutes away from the start of the Formation Lab. In a few moments, warm-up is just going to happen for a few more minutes. And it's gonna be pretty interesting. Of course, as we said, with Munir leading for the pole, could be an easy one to win. Strategy does play quite an importance here in the World Championship. Well, it does in both our categories in Formula Sim Racing. For those of you that have been new to the FSR and wondering. If you've got here and wanted to know more about it, League first formed in 1999. It's been one of the legacy international sim racing championships in the world. Has gone across between many different sim racing platforms. Initially started out as I think it was a lap trial base. It was at one point, and then suddenly came to it online. Recently, first started with it in rFactor, and then since it's been in rFactor. And it's moved to rFactor 2 in about the early or the mid 2010s, by that point, of which we have stayed with the platform ever since. I think we're approaching its 26th year in FSR operations, or 27th, I think.
Yeah, this is the 26th year, and you're doing a fantastic job of summarising. And I'm sorry to have thrown you into this hole. Thomas is sorting out the server now to make sure it's very important from the driver's perspective that we don't lose the real road, which is the rubber build-up. So Thomas lends, I've shared the real road with Thomas, and he's now loading it into the server. And there will be a quick server restart to make sure that we have the appropriate real road available for the drivers, because it has a massive impact on the grip. rFactor 2 simulates the build-up of rubber very accurately, exactly where the cars drive.
Indeed, it does. It does borrow, as I think you've mentioned it before in your previous broadcast, borrows a lot of elements from the authentic racing sim mode that's actually used by real teams and drivers in rFactor Pro, and rFactor 2 is kind of the you can say it's the consumer version of it, but it does again borrow such many elements from it, and I think the tire wear has been I think arguably probably one of the best even to this day, quite unmatched, unrivaled in any other sim at the moment. As you've said, the server is just slowly moving on as we will start to begin our race with just a quick cleanup. But rFactor 2 really isn't any other sim quite like it, even with all the kind of the new sims going along its way, and it holds a special place in, I think, sim racing history, in that previously come from rFactor, which was quite groundbreaking in itself for just how good its engine was. It became a staple for so many racing games on top of what has already been built, and rFactor 2 sort of continues to withhold that benchmark even to this very day in the year 2026, which is kind of why we have stuck with it for so long. I think it's been more than 10 years since we have utilized rFactor 2 in Formula Sim Racing as a whole. I'll look over through to the comments just a brief moment. I know everyone is a little bit unfortunate about the server, but there's no in-game sound. You got what time to join? Yeah, it was fine. Relax using risking cooling settings before it happens. For those of you who don't know,
just to reiterate what you were saying there, to at least give the audience some entertainment and to fill in the moments while we get this sorted out. I have to apologise. It was my rookie error trying to commentate and press the buttons as race director at the same time. I inadvertently clicked the button that said next circuit rather than next session, so it's entirely my fault. But I've been rescued by Thomas Lenz, who is our guru. He's one of the unsung heroes of this league. Most of the tech stuff behind the scenes is managed by Thomas. But just getting back to what you were talking about, the simulation itself, we still use rFactor 2 because it is simply the most authentic, most high fidelity simulation for open wheel racing available to the domestic consumer. There is nothing better than rFactor 2 for racing open wheelers. And in fact, Le Mans Ultimate really is rFactor 2 with a couple of extra widgets added in. And in fact, it was the Image Space Incorporated, the guys who created the original EA Sports Formula One Challenge as a contract for EA Sports, then went out on their own with rFactor and then migrated to rFactor 2. And this series has had all of them. It's had Formula One Challenge 2000, Formula One Challenge 2001, then rFactor, and then finally rFactor 2. So we've been sticking with the ISI motor for the whole 26-year history of the league. And if you were ever lucky enough to go and sit in a Formula One racing team's actual simulator, they use the same core game engine. You mentioned rFactor Pro, that utilises the same game engine as rFactor 2. So this is the closest possible thing you can ever get to having a whole lot of people in Formula One simulators joining together online and having a race. So it's pretty incredible technology. It's come a long way in 26 years, so I'm proud to be a part of it, but fully taking responsibility for my blunder this evening, and apologies to the drivers and to the audience.
It's fine, David. No need to worry. I think just these things do happen, but luckily we'll be, I think, in just a very few short minutes with everything resolved. Again, big thank you as well to Thomas Lenz for his fantastic work, not just through this season, but also throughout the course in FSR. I think since 2018 has been working for Formula SimRacing and has been the technical guru for that. Remco Zeuuw as well. Big thanks as well to him for his broadcasting contributions to FSR, for which he started, I think, just about last year, and has been with us through and through ever since. And David Rye as well, you've mentioned yourself of Thomas Lenz's contributions. I think you've had your contributions stem all the way back in FSR, so big thanks as well to your part as well. But yep, that's gonna be us. 15 corners to go, 15 corners to navigate through, 57 laps. Anticipation kind of running high. Seeing some people just having disconnects. We'll have enough time to swiftly join back in, and we can expect to see with the warm-up slowly come concluded, just hopefully with everyone be able to join in. I do see 19 cars, so I think that is good. I think that's everyone, since just Janet Spence is replacing Riven Machine, in fact, who was a last-minute replacement. A couple of other drivers not appearing as well. One's being, I think it was Velo 1 and Supernova not making appearances today. But they think they'll be back come through to the next round in Azerbaijan. I think the other amazing thing as well is Bahrain does have like a benchmark, because we have raced here quite consistently over in Formula SimRacing. But there's, since Edward, our international SimRacing president, who's president for FSR, has mentioned in our announcements channel, it's a debut for the Baku City Circuit, and since we haven't really raced here before, unlike all the other ones where we can kind of correlate to the long and extensive history of FSR we don't really have much history with the Baku Sealy circuit. So not only is it going to be like an unknown for really to us, because we don't really know what how to say it, what advantages of the driver skills that they have is going to correlate to Baku, but also I think to everyone to see what FSR can deliver in Azerbaijan as well. And I think that's going to be a really, really big unknown that we're going to see come in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, certainly plenty of hard things to hit. Fortunately, there's not many of them here. Tell you what might be interesting, which is always a bit of fun, is to speculate on the pit strategy, which I know is something I often speculate about. But, I was doing a funny thing. I was watching the 1986 Formula One British Formula One Grand Prix, which was the last one I think held at Brands Hatch. It was won by Nigel Mansell over Nelson Piquet, and everybody one-stopped. So we all got used to having these sort of disposable tyres in the Bernie Ecclestone era, but one-stop was pretty common, and the World Championship grid have shown us on a couple of occasions that they're able to one-stop when we don't think it's going to be possible. But here's an interesting story with this track. It has lower tyre wear, but I think we're going to see some two-stops because the tyre wear is low enough to even introduce maybe a cheeky soft tyre stint in between a couple of hards, or even go hard, medium, soft, and really go quick for a lot more laps than you could have managed at Suzuka. Suzuka with those sustained high G corners really took a toll on the tyres.
I'm looking over through to the grid, and you're right. I can for the top 6, they're all capable of one-stopping, but I think it might be the case. But there's also a case where I think because Bahrain, as you said, has such low tire wear, I think it does take quite a thought process to kind of go against what everyone else is doing. Sometimes it does benefit, and sometimes it doesn't. But we'll see how that sort of goes. But again, the one-stop is an option if people want to use it. The formation lap has just begun as the lights come out. Loic Meunier is going to be the one that leads for the field, as it is the MV Conquest that takes pole position here as we look over through to the formation lap of the race. In the front row, we have Loic Meunier, who has...
Now, sorry about this, just to give you a bit of context. Alex Lahou had a game freeze, and that's one of those moments where you think, do we want to restart the session because the driver has had a game freeze? Well, Alex Lahou is leading the World Championship, so it would be a bit of a sin, a bit of a crime against SimRacing to not allow the guy leading the championship to get back in.
Yeah, we initially had the problem with Loic Meunier as well that also was complaining about that. I think that was just that River Mache in the YouTube chat kindly informs us he won't be driving for this season. Janssen Bins is replacing me for today, so that second optimal seat is a big, relatively unknown for everyone to see who can secure that seat. It's a very luxurious seat. It's a very prized seat in the World Championship, of course, and especially from Optimal, that have strong showings through FSR, especially when you consider their performances last year. And I think Remco is kind of smiling ear to ear when I'm glazing his team this much. But no, I am being serious. It is a very good team. So again, a very, very big question mark there, David, to see who could secure that seat.
Yeah, indeed, and what's going to happen? What is going to happen in this race? If somebody's going to two-stop, we're probably going to see them dive into the pits from about lap 17. And if drivers are going to one-stop and they start on hards, they're going to need to do something like 35 laps on their first set of hards. So it's a 22-second transit down the pit lane if everything goes smoothly. but it's surprising how quickly you can make that up. And we had a mixture of strategies in pro. We had a few guys one stop and a few guys two stop, and it was very close at the end. So we can all enjoy it now. Sorry for the audience and for the drivers for making it a slightly later evening than you'd planned, but hopefully we'll have a lot of excitement once we get going with an actual race. Alex Zeuuw is back in the race, so he's restarted rFactor 2.
Yay.
One of the drivers is commentating that he thinks Alex Zeuuw has just restarted his Commodore 64 computer. So Alex Zeuuw, we've got Alex Zeuuw from France. I think Loic Meunier is from France. Mark Schluter is a German driver. Peter Burlak, I think, might be from Hungary. So we've got a real United Nations on the grid. And fortunately, we've got
Croatian, Brashok is Hungarian.
Yeah.
As you said, nations from all across the world, and Lucas Murno, also from Brazil. I think he's our only South American on the grid, and our Amir Sweezy as well, from Tunisia.
Exactly.
As well on the grid. So
he's our one Tunisian.
He's our one Tunisian.
I think it's he's our only Tunisian. I think Kasaba Elikas is a Hungarian driver. So we've got a big mix.
And you're Australian as well.
Yeah. I don't think we've got any Australians in World Championship this year, sadly. So guys and girls, we are away on a formation lap. Thank you for bearing with us. We think you're going to enjoy it. We hope you're going to enjoy it as the drivers head off to get the tyres warm, the brakes warm, but not overheat the engine. And of course, the drivers will always push cooling to the absolute limit. One driver was panicking because they inadvertently went out to qualifying session with cooling fully closed up. So that driver, that was Leila Petraglia, she will be monitoring her engine temps and has got to watch out for things like not following too closely, because when you're following another car closely, you're getting less cooling air and you're getting more hot air from the car in front. So these are all issues that the drivers have to manage. But I'll hand it back over to you, Amir, as you call the formation lap.
Look, Meunier, first pole position this season. He'll be starting at P1. He follows through with Janusz Braksok. He will be completing for the front row. Mark Schluter for ground effect is in P3 with Peter Brieliak. Completes for an MV Conquest 1 and 4. Through over to row 3, it is Jan Grangfist and Alex Laho, both ALM MV Conquest 5th and 6th respectively. Zoltz Schutsen for 7th for Otimale. Follows over George Zalayanis for 8th. Through to row 5, it is Lucas Murno for Optimal Hosting and Giuseppe Cazzaneri for Vale Esports in P10. Giuseppe Saracino is in 11th, followed through with Matthew Tucson for P12. William Snowner for 7 hours is in 13th with Nanda Marcer for Inventius Motorsports in 14th. Amir Sweezy for 7 hours is 15th with Ruben van Hooding in 16th for Vale. Zabialekis is in P17, follows through with Leila Petraglia for Elk International in 18th. And Janssen Benz for Optimal Esports completes over for a 19-car field here in the World Championship for the third round of the season.
I can only see 3 hard tyre runners in the top 10, but the data's not always accurate until they've done a lap or so. But it does look like we've only got 3 hard tyre runners, that being Peter Burlak, George Zalagianis, and Giuseppe Saracino, I think, are the only ones I can see on hards.
Just waiting for the last few drivers to line up onto the start of the grid. Janssen Bintz is going to be the last one entered into his grid box. Meunier, Brashok, Schluter and company all behind will have to stare at the starting lights and wait for the 5 lights to come on and off, with as we await to see who could be victorious here in the Bahrain International Circuit. Lights are off and we're underway here at Bahrain. Very good start there by Luke Mooney. He goes off defense from Brackshaw. Brackshaw is going to immediately look down to the outside, but Mark Schluter is going to try and invite himself into the picture. Unable to do so, has to stay through behind, and yet Grandfus is going to almost try and beat him. Unable through to do so, and look at this. Prita Brillac has dropped 2 positions as Leho and Grandfus up in the 4th and 5th respectively. Carnage down for the back though. That's 1 to 7 arrows. That is Samuel Lekis, who's down into P19, but Schluter gives himself a bit of a push though between himself and Schluter. Schluter tries to go side by side, unable to do so. Filters back into a 1-car field, but Samuel Lekis is the one that comes off worst of it. Marsa also drops down as well. Disaster for the 7 hours driver. Tension's still up ahead though. Peter Brillac nearly makes contact though. Alex Lowe, he's going to try his best to make an overtake against the championship leader. Does his best to hang on to the outside line. Is he able to do so? No, he is not. Alex Lowe, with enough grip, makes it through and still holds on down to 5th. Brilliant start we can see with Brillac. Lucas Murdoch going to try and get even more positions as he's currently up into 8th. Almost tries to get 7th, unable to do so. Luke Minya still leads. Brashok 2nd, Schluter 3rd, and Greg Cristalaho 4th and 5th.
Yeah, Peter Burlack has lost a couple of spots there, courtesy probably of that harder tyre compound. But wow, did he have a hell of a battle with Zoltan Silk through Sector 2, trying to really not lose any more places than he had to. But Peter Burlack
goodness me.
7.
Oh, that was the carnage that we saw with Alexis. Alexis is already losing it on the exit out of turn 3, that was, and unfortunately just didn't have much track to go through, and had contact with Marsa as well. So I think Marsa kind of shut the door a little bit prematurely. He thought Alexis was not as close to him as he was, and as a result they both dropped to P18 and 19 just from that little tap. But luckily Alexis does not hit the wall and does continue the race on ahead until lap 2. We can start to see the DRS starting to come forward. That's Lena Petraglia trying to make an overtake on Van der Hooding as they both go side by side on exit. They're still going to go through to the S's though, and look at this, swings his way through Matthew Tucson as he holds on through to P15, and Van der Hooding, oh, and Lena's going to look down to the inside, and it's going to be super close. She manages to do it though. She gets up into that point score position. Van der Hooding joins alongside as well. Matthew Tucson drops 2 places. Fantastic overtakes from Leila and Van der Hooding.
That is a very close fight between those two. Pretty tight at the front as well. Brackshock staying very close to Loic Munier, and Schluter also very close to those guys. So the 3 of them are pulling a mini gap on Jan Granquist, all of them on medium tyres. Burlac, as we said, first hard tyre runner in 7th place, and then George Seligianis in 9th place.
And that magic number being 7/10 as the DRS here in FSR, and that's what you need to, facilitate any of the 3 DRS ones. Not to mention as well the DRS ones. That's a yellow flag with that's Marsa and Alekis again on the exit out of turn 16. Marsa does continue on ahead, but Alekis is much more struggling to get on track. But Loic Munier under the pressure with the DRS is still fine. Lucas Murno down onto the inside of Peter Brillac. No, Brillac is going to look down for the makes him for a switchback, and he gets himself and holds on to 7th for dear life. A fantastic defense there from himself. Lucas Murno has to go back and try to figure out another way to overtake the Croatian. And oh my goodness me, that's Van der Hooding and Lena Petraglia. They both make contact, and that allows Matthew Tucson to get back into the point scoring position. Already a lot of carnage happening at the start of the race, and a brief replay may as well confirm that. We can see Tucson is in the back, so we'll see what happens. Lena Petraglia down into the inside, and oh boy, I'm not sure. I wonder if the door might have been shut, or just the turning wasn't quite there. We'll have a look over. This is going to be on board with her, using through the DRS. And I'll look down through to the inside onto Van der Hooding. Oh boy, yeah, Van der Hooding should have given a bit more space there for that corner. I don't think he was maybe expecting her to make a move like that, but a door shot like that is not at all very favourable. And as a result, they both drop down through in the process. Van der Hooding is outside the point square and 2 seconds away from Matthew Tucson. Saracino with the DRS gonna make a swift overtake on William Snowden. This is going to be for P11, and Snowden will have his teammate of Sweezy behind, and Janssen Bitz, who's also gained positions. He's in P14 now. Cataneri up ahead as the DRS, trying to apply pressure to Zeuuw. And the top 10 seems to be relatively a little bit more calmer. No quite DRS overtakes made Murno. I think Murno did overtake Brelak at the end for P7, and has Zeuuw to try to climb. Laho and Grankvist still in P4 and 5. Mark Schluter third. Janusz Brakshock has the DRS. He's not facilitating overtake just yet on Munir, as he still holds on to not a comfortable lead, but still a lead regardless. And it's quite hard to see, because of course there are advantages to being in slipstream, and also advantages to not being in slipstream. It's kind of like it kind of weighs one way or the other, really, because you don't really want to overheat your engine, and that's kind of the thing that Brakshock has to, as you said before, kind of need to monitor, even if his cooling is very high.
Yeah, Brakshock does have DRS. I think this is a track that probably favours close following more than a lot of tracks do, because very long straights and slow to medium speed corners, so not massively aerodynamically dominated corners. So I think close following here is probably easier than it is on some other tracks. I did, by the way, go back and have a look at the Saba Elikas Nandor Masa collision on the final corner, and that was
Zeuuw holds on true to the inside against Cataneri. That was right down to the very wire. A brilliant overtake from the Ground Effects SimRacing team. I'm sorry to break it over. My goodness me. Jansen Benson Snowden. Sorry, what?
Action comes first. You can go for it.
Yep, Jansen Bits and Snowden that was. I just saw in the background Jansen Bits going really squirrely on the exit out of turn 5 with Snowden, and just about managed to recover it. At the terminal up into P13, a fantastic start that Bint has had made all the way from P19 up into P13.
Yeah, Bint's carried an 8 grid place penalty over from Suzuka. So he was on the naughty step, and that's why he was starting so far back. But it looks like he's keen to make up for that and put in a good performance for his team here at Bahrain.
Attention for up ahead, though. That was Peter that just went way too wide on that exit, as Murno has the DRS and the slipstream available to attack Zult. All that he would like. This is going to be for P6. Calm as you like, easy as you want. A terminal hosting driver gets himself up into P6, and I think we'll have about enough of power to kind of pull away as well. Jan Grankvist having the DRS, he's going to try and aim for Mark Schluter and Janusz Brakshock, as we mentioned a couple of laps ago, aiming for that lead. But look at this, Zeuuw and Cataneri are not stop fighting. They make contact on the exit of turn 4. Cataneri holds on to 9th, Zeuuw down into 10th, and luckily no real visual damage from what I can see, but that could have been properly ugly between these two.
Yeah, a little bit of a side-by-side love tap there. It's a tricky corner on your own, that one, because there's a bit of an adverse camber. There's a crown in the middle of the road, and so the car really does want to go sideways when you put the throttle down. So it is a tricky one to do on your own, let alone attack somebody through.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think from what we can see, they just seem to be fine for now. So no real harm damage done there. Attention back over to Laho. He's kind of at the end of this train for P3, which himself is trying to invite themselves into a train for P1. But yeah, that gap between Brakshock and Schluter, 1.6 seconds. They're well without the DRS range now, and they're going to try to hope that Brakshock can fight with Munoz so they can get themselves invited back in. But if not, it's not going to end up very well for them, because if the race continues to go on ahead, then Munoz and Brakshock are effectively almost going to be a race between themselves, and Schluter, Grankvist and Laho are going to be in a race between themselves as well. And that's going to be, well, pretty unfortunate for Schluter, Grankvist and Laho, who Laho wants to get his 3rd race win this season. Then Grankvist and Schluter are aiming for their first this season, and Brakshock and Munir are kind of aiming for the same as well. But still a long race to go for ahead. Seen further back, I think Sarancino was a bit under pressure, or Zeuuw was under pressure from Sarancino. Couldn't quite make the overtake made. but still laps around 57. Still got about 49 laps to go. Munya still leads, and Rashok with the DRS pressure, but not quite. Well, he's not making the overtake at the moment, but biding his time, he looks very, very comfortable, and yeah, he's just kind of waiting and trying to seize the moment whenever it appears.
Yeah, certainly all pushing very hard. I'm riding on board with Mark Schluter through the turn 11-12 complex, and he was absolutely foot to the firewall through there, as you would expect. This is a pretty bumpy track as well, by the way. One of the things a lot of the teams commented on was when first arriving here from Suzuka, it was how bumpy it was. Zeuuw got a run on Grunquist now, actually. Grunquist ran a little wide on the final corner, which has given Zeuuw a bit of a run on him, but no DRS because he wasn't close enough when they passed through the detection zone. But certainly Zeuuw looking very ambitious now to get something done with his teammate, perhaps.
Saracino down into the inside of Giannis. These two have been fighting for a pretty good while now. Saracino straight down to the inside, and a very good DRS assisted overtake there from the Italian as he gets himself into the top 10. Giannis with the DRS himself, he's going to try to respond down to turn 5. Saracino already holds on to the middle of the track coming through turn 5, but luckily Giannis does back off just a little bit, unsure where Saracino can go, and Saracino means that he will hold on to P10 at the moment. Very good there on the Squire Nation eSports, as I'm pretty sure Ron Squire will be extremely happy to see his team back into the point scoring position. Well, even the top 10 even, which is quite remarkable for them as a whole. But yeah, fantastic overtake there by Saracino.
Yeah, we've got a couple of very strong teams now that we haven't really had in FSR in great quantity before. The MV teams, there's a couple of them, MV Conquest and ALM MV, both from the same stable, if you like. And then, of course, Squire Nation producing good drives as well. So just great to see new teams arriving and their drivers performing at this level.
Rashok, well, how's the DRS? He's slowly, bit by bit, getting closer to Mooney that he can overtake if he wants to. It'll be a lot easier for Brashok as well if he utilizes the push to pass. But of course, the push to pass is only available for a certain amount of distance. Though, Janssen Bint's been on with him. He's currently on to 12th, as we mentioned, serving a penalty. He's got Salianos next up onto his books. Quite a bit far to make a move at the minute, and Yanis can't quite match to the pace of Saracino and Canzonieri up ahead, so he has to really worry about Janssen behind to hold on to P11 at the moment. And well, if Janssen does finish this the way that if Janssen does manage to continue to make grounds that he's been doing, it won't truly be in for a top 10 finish, which is 3-star P19 is going to be something remarkable. Zalianis way too early on the accelerator, had to really make it go straight through turn 10. Through to 11 he goes. Janssen does have the DRS, but not close enough to make the move. But that mistake might surely cost Giannis much earlier than he has anticipated. Through the third sector they go, and still nothing quite to be made there. You can see Janssen just on the camera utilizing a little bit more track than Zalianis is doing. Through to the final corner though, Janos Broxock again 2/10 away, but he's again still not close to even make the move. But the tension's still on the back here for P11. Now has the longest DRS, I believe, and the slipstream at hand. And the Greek driver finds himself even under immense more trouble. Here go Janssen, finds the time to bite the bullet, and is going to try and push the ground effect so close, almost running the accelerator, but he's manages to save it just about. And he has the DRS again for the DRS detection, so he'll be able to go for it again. Oh my goodness me, so close. Janssen swings around for the outside through turn 5, and a fantastic move for Janssen. He gets himself onto P11. Fantastic move that was, and a great battle between these two.
Yeah, that was a superb move. George Zalianis really pushed it to the limit in terms of his defending. It was legal, but he didn't leave an inch more room than he needed to. But Janssen Bintz made that work, so that was around the outside, so that was really impressive driving from Janssen Bintz.
Yes, so the great words "aggressive but legal" is music to every commentator's ears, and the pleasure on everyone's sides in sim racing and racing as a whole. It is truly racing at its finest. So you put over for lap 10. We've got our first, I think that might be our first scheduled pit stop, or we're not sure, as Leila Petraglia is into the pits at lap 11, but Loic Meunier is about 4/10 away, coming down to 3/10 now. I think the smallest gap that we've seen between Brashok and Meunier was about, I think it was 2.5 tenths, I think it was, from one another. I just realized Alekis and Marsa are first retirement. Saracino and Cantaneri going to go for a battle for once again. Cantaneri is going to look to the outside of turn 1, hoping to his best to defend. Going to turn it to the inside of turn 2, and Saracino is going to hold that, swinging around for the outside. Does work, and Sterling certainly does. But look at this, Cantaneri is going to have for the slip to able to try and go through it again. Look around for the outside. He is going to try and do it, but I think he's overcooked a little bit too much, and he has done so, and loses pretty valuable time to his countrymate. Very good there. They're Van der Hooding down into the inside of Matthew Tucson. This is for the final point scoring position as the Dutchman. Ooh, goodness me, that rear just seems to be very, very unstable, but was finding the acceleration, but up at the P15 he will go, and that allows for Valley Esports to have both cars in the point scoring position with that overtake.
Yes, I don't really understand why Leila Petraglia stopped after 11 laps. She was on mediums and she took mediums again. That's a short stint on the medium. There's no problem making them last 17 to 18 laps, so perhaps there was some other issue going on. I guess we'll find out after the race.
Yep. We'll look over through to the replay to kind of see if it helps. Oh, she was missing her front wing, so that might have been the problem there.
But explain that.
We'll see, like, what happened to her. I think it also cost her just so much time, because she was dropping a lot out to I think Van der Hooding as a result from that. But look over through to the replay here. Oh dear, that was a twitch out of the exit out of turn 5, and right into the barrier she goes, and misses the wing as a process. It's quite hard to kind of keep the car in control in that. I've driven these FSR cars a bit before. I'm not very good at it whatsoever. It does require such precise car control, and just one step wrong and you find yourself out.
Now, I think we may have had a change of position between Lucas Murno and Zoltan Sulks. I happened upon them battling pretty hard into the beginning of Sector 2, and I think Lucas got in front of Zoltan, but I can't say I'm 100% sure. He's certainly in front of him now.
Yep. Look over through to replay to have to see what happened. And Murno has been really a man on a quest, has he? Good overtake there down into turn 5. Well, he didn't quite get it done. They were still going side by side into the second sector. I think much to Lucas's a little bit of annoyance, but still manages to get the job done. The Brazilian up into P6 from that good overtake. And, Zoltsuks is going to try his best to maybe respond to that if he possibly can.
Will
Again,
have
the
DRS?
We'll have the DRS. You're quite right about that, but a bit too far away to really facilitate a move here. And it seems that Lucas's overtake is kind of cemented here in this battle for the time being. I keep saying turn 5 is turn 4. My apologies. It is turn 4. It is turn 5. Lap 13 out of 57. Meunier still leads. Brashok in second, still within the DRS. That gap between Brashok and Schluter has honestly still remained the same. It's still about 1.5, 1.7 territory at the moment. You wouldn't think that because Schluter doesn't have the DRS, he'll be pushing away, but that might showcase that Brashok is kind of lifting, maybe, from Meunier. Like, he is definitely close to, I think he's almost going very close to making overtake, but he's just not taking that opportunity at the moment.
Yeah, he might be biding his time, hoping to keep just a little bit more tyre life to make a big attack at the right time. And certainly having DRS 2 or 3 times a lap is going to make it a little bit bit easier for him to stay in contact and not have to push quite as hard in the corners. But the other side of that coin is, of course, Loic Mounier has clean air. He's driving into a lovely solid block of air and getting cleaner downforce.
Zeuuw responds with an inside move over to turn 1. They both make contact. I'm sorry to break you up again once again.
Lucas and Zoltan?
Yeah, that was Lucas and Zoltan. They both made contact onto turn 1, and Zoltan reclaims back P6, and this fighting might have allowed Peter get back into this position for P6, and the M3 Conquest driver must be extremely, extremely happy with that moment between Berno and Zult, because again, now it turns into a 3-car battle for that position, and Murno thought that he had P6 in the bag, must have been caught by surprise from that DRS from Zult.
And the other thing in the back of these guys' mind is that Peter Burlak, of course, who's just got DRS on them now on the back straight, Peter Burlak is on hards. So if you're on mediums and you're battling a bloke on track and he's on hards, 14 laps into a race, it is very likely when you both switch compounds that he is going to drive away from you. So Murno and Zoltan Sooks both will be feeling a lot of pressure from Peter Briac at the moment. He's managed to stay within 10 seconds of the leaders after 15 laps, all the time running the hard tyre.
Got another yellow flag into the first sector. That seems to be Layla once again. That's on the exit of turn 5 again, but she's inside wall. I'll look over to the replay, maybe, but she isn't moving, so we'll see what happens. But still with Briliac. Yeah, Briliac as well. There we go. Does go into. Oh, she's missing her back left wheel, so that explains the retirement. And there's another one into the pits. Was that that might have been Van den Hudding, but let's have a look for a replay again. So that's not Tucson ahead. That's oh no, it is Tucson ahead. So she originally went on to the outside, and this time she's hit the inside wall this time, and. With the way that she's made contact with it, the wheel is gone and the engine is gone as well. So, unfortunately, our second retirement, Alekis and Marsa also retired from contact in turn, I think, 15 and 16. I don't think we've seen the replays.
Yeah, it was the final corner. Yes, unfortunately,
right.
Madam Triglia there suffered from a little bit of throttle oversteer. Got a little bit greedy on throttle with the steering not very straight on exit of, we call that turn 4. And heavy contact with the barrier.
She suffered from that earlier in the, but it made her spun the other way. It went to the outside wall rather than the inside wall, so she was suffering it, and the results have been both pretty drastic in terms of they went the opposite way of which they happened. But I think this is earlier on from what we've seen with Alekis. So I know that Alekis and Marsa both lost their front wings, I think. But here it is. This is it coming through to the final corner. Between these two, oh my goodness me, that is a tax lap and a half, and oh boy, I think, not sure if Alekis hold the brakes there, but joined back into the track. I think he did, but that just seems very unfortunate there, and yeah, we'll see what has to go. Sweezy is into the pits. He was in pitting 14. I think if he doesn't have any damage, then he could well truly be our first green flag pit stop proper. He's pitting from, I think it was mediums he started on? It was mediums he started on.
I think that's right.
So that means, yeah, so he's done 16 laps on those mediums. So that means, if your guesses is correct, and I'm pretty much sure they are, we can expect to see everyone else draw alongside Sweezy in a couple of laps' time. You said lap 17, so you're pretty much bang on the money.
Yes, Amin wasn't getting fantastic tyre wear out of the mediums in the practice races, and so he decided he didn't want to go beyond, certainly not beyond lap 17. So not a surprise to see him stop. Tell you what is interesting, at the front of the grid, Mark Schluter is closing in on the top two slightly. He is now he's within a second of the lead actually, and almost 0.7 from Janos. So Schluter very, very competitive here at Bahrain, and the top three, to use that well-worn cliche, you could throw a blanket over the top three at the moment. So it's getting very, 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 very close, very, very tight as we get deep into the stint. And I think this is where the real class shows, the drivers that have developed their setup deep into the stint, they've managed their tyres, and they've got a car that they're very confident under them, deep in the stint. And this is the money shot, I think.
Yeah, Schluter, who said before was 1.7 seconds away, and we questioned if he was ever going to join back in. Does manage to join back in, and he's just in within DRS of Brashok now. And well, this is going to be great news, and he's also dragging Grankfest with him. Laho is just about outside the DRS train, but again, from what we have seen with Schluter and Brashok, it was 1.7 seconds, and now they're within DRS. So the same could be said for Laho. It may be just a few laps time. But as you said, the nitty-gritty of the race is just about to kick off underway, as we can start to see strategy sort of coming into effect here at the race. And I think you've mentioned it before about tyre wear, about how little tyre wear there is in Bahrain in comparison to... Is there less tyre wear in Bahrain than Albert Park as well?
Slightly. Fairly similar, probably. Fairly similar.
Different. Oh my goodness me! Look, Munir's got one out of turn 1, but Brashok didn't capitalise. Oh Jesus! Oh my, sorry.
Don't you? That's what we're here to watch.
Yep, that's a very hair-raising moment there for Munir, so that could be a sign that the mediums are slightly coming away to effect. I could just see the agonizing steering he's going to try and do in the turn 1. It's just not quite responding. So maybe those are the signs that the mediums are slightly going. And again, the top 6 are all the mediums. Peter Breliak on the hard, so he's got a chance to... You also said they could last 35 laps on the hards?
Yep, in theory, and interesting to see the gap between Peter Burlak and the lead is still locked in at 10 seconds, and we will probably see that gap start to fall a bit now, because after 18 laps the mediums are not going to be in as good a condition as the hards, and the pendulum swings really. They're both on a dead curve, but the medium tyre is on a much steeper dead curve. And the hard, as we've discovered, is pretty bulletproof. So, although Peter Burlak just getting with a bit of throttle oversteer there onto the second to last straight.
Bashok's the first to respond, which is pretty surprising, because he looked the most comfortable into those mediums more than anyone. Munir, who was, in my opinion, kind of suffering the most, he's staying out for one more lap. Brashok with a quick pit stop, so we'll see whereabouts he exits up from and gets a good idea of the delta time. I think it was about 23 seconds or so. Should be, I think, Zalo Yanis, I think, will be approximately where he is. There goes his Janssen Bins. He's up to 9th, Brashok into 10th. Oh, goodness me. Benson's going to cost him a little bit, but goes a bit wide. On exit, Brashok goes through. He's on to 9th. That is 21.1 seconds, so that's about the delta that we can expect for these drivers to make whenever making a pit stop, and that's sort of what Munir, Schluter and Grankfest and Loho will have that value henceforth going on. But Brashok didn't actually quite have a traffic-free exit. He did have Janssen behind, so that's going to be something to kind of take it into account for Munir, Schluter and Grankfest.
Yeah, well, I think Janos, here's a bit of a news flash for you. Janos has gone from mediums to mediums, so he is two-stopping for sure. And so his pit stop was probably timed more to do with optimizing the tyre performance than optimizing traffic. He wants to be really fast now on the mediums, and then do a shorter stint on hards at the end. So this is the business end of the race really. This stint is the business end of the race for Janos, and the other guys are going to have to make their decision as to whether or not they respond or not. Munir and Schluter. Schluter, of course, went to...
Oh my God! Come on, Schluter spun round! Mark Schluter spun round! On the exit of turn 3, he has spun it around! Wow!
Really tricky. Really tricky complex. It is so easy to do that, exiting that first complex, because you're really keen to get the throttle on to get up that straight as fast as you can. But you have the tiniest bit of steering lock applied when you hit the gas pedal, and the rears just light up, particularly this late in the medium tyre stint when grip is falling away. Very unfortunate for Mark.
It was such a big snap to the right, and there was nothing that Schluter could do to recover that whatsoever. And, well, luckily he's still into P3, but that's really hindered his chances of a race win, because Alex Lahu, except for the pits, he's into 9th. So actually, Brashok pitting earlier, he seems to have gained more delta than Alex did. So this could actually be a big advantage for Janos, because it seems to be that the bigger the overcut, oh my goodness me, Loic Mounier is barely holding that in together. He finally calls into the pits on lap 20, and it will be Jan Granfest completely on his own now. I think with how much Mounier was struggling, I think we expect to see Janos Brashok emerge as the new race leader with pit stop delta.
He most definitely will, because it's a 22-second delta and he is 16.8 seconds behind. So Janos has called it perfectly, and he is flying on these mediums before anybody else. Janos is our net race leader, unless somebody can do something magical with a one-stop. But as we've seen, the tyres are going away. It's a totally different equation to Suzuka, really.
Yep. Let's look for ahead. This is going to be Mounier against Laho. These two on separate teams. Going to be, Laho and Janssen, who both have the DRS, unable to do so. I just saw Mark Schluter being held up by one of the Optimal cars. I'm not quite sure who that was, but I don't know who that was. I think that might have been Zeuuw, in fact. And Zeuuw just pitted ahead, and Mark Schluter actually had to reverse, so that's cost him even more time if the spin wasn't enough. And it's kind of got a bit from bad to worse for the German driver, but he's still got quite a bit of he's got a bit of a race distance to kind of claw his way back in. But it's very unfortunate for Mark to not only suffer from a spin, but also having to suffer from a pit stop as well. You'd think like the pit stops would be the easiest thing to kind of get right, but for Mark, unfortunately, it hasn't been, because here's the replay here. He's going to go into the pits. Clearly was struggling from what we've seen earlier with the stops, and the pit box is right there. You can just see the contact made there. That is, oh boy, and he makes the pit stop as well.
So Mark's gone to hards. He may have to revise his strategy and try to make it home on the hard, see if he can look after the tyres well enough. He's certainly very good on tyre management.
It's 35 laps, so he's going to expect them to make it over through a little bit more. Lucas Murdo swings his way past Zeuuw for P9. I think Lucas has made his scheduled pit stop as well. And, well, he's got Mulsanne also about 3 seconds ahead. Still has to worry about Zeuuw for just a few more seconds. But still, as last, the race does continue on ahead. Lap 22 out of 57, Jan Granfest, still one of the few of the medium runners left to, actually is the last medium runner left to pit. Brashok, Laho, Mounier on the mediums, Murno onto the mediums. So Brillac should still stay out, as he said, till lap 5. If Schluter, I think if Schluter doesn't pit now, he's expected to do, what was it, 35, so that will be 50. Well, he's going to do 55 laps on the hards for this, so he's just pushing like it by about a lap more than what we predicted.
Well, Schluter has pitted because he was running 4th after his little spin. Came out of the pits 29 seconds back on hards. So Jan Granqvist is pitting now.
Yep.
So that will allow for Janos Brashok, who goes his way through. This is teammate Laho. He's jumped his teammate. And Loic Mounier has done so as well. Granqvist has switched to the softs according to our timing screens.
Yeah,
so
I'm seeing the same thing. I'm seeing the same thing. That's a really interesting race with tyre strategy. A bit of a cheeky undercut attempt on the soft. He's going to have to go really quickly now on these, and then probably need to revert to a hard for the run home because he's. Oh. But yeah,
sorry.
That's fun. Real diversity of strategy, which is good fun.
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. I'm very curious because because Gragfest is about what, 3 seconds away from Munir, so you're going to try and create 3 seconds of gap to make an overtake. And really, the softs you can really capitalize the softs whenever you make overtakes. But I think the big question for Gragfest is, can he make how effective can he make his overtakes? How quick can he make his overtakes? Because he can't prolong them as much as all the other drivers can, because that's just going to eat into his tyre wear, and he well and truly knows that. And for a 2-stop as well, that means he's going to look back to another run into the mediums issue. And how will his racing skill, not racing skill, but how will his racing mindset or personality kind of differ between the softs and the mediums is a big test for it to tell. But all that will be found out in a very short moment. We're just about a few laps away from the halfway point as we ride on with Lucas Murno. He's about 17 seconds away from the lead. He's got Zalianis on his books. Now this is going to be for P7 with the DRS down to the inside of turn 1 with the DRS in hand, and a good move into the inside, easy as a like. The Brazilian up at the 7th.
With the fastest lap of the race. That wasn't last lap though. He's holding it, previously holding it, but surely we're going to see Loic Munier take the fastest lap of the race at any moment, because he's of course running the soft. Should do him for 12 laps, 12 to 13 laps. The soft, not much more than that.
Yep, I think that's kind of a fair prediction. I think. He can make them last a little bit longer, but that's not gonna. But he also has to be pretty careful on how they do it, especially whenever as the softs kind of run off a cliff. You can't really abuse them as much as you can with the mediums or the hards, for instance. So there is that in mind for Grandfist to also kind of be a bit wary about. But alas, I think we will see our fastest lap. You might indeed be right. Grandfist, I think his first sector was. I was going to say invalidated, but I think it's fine. Ash Buckshot has the quickest first sector. And Brilek is into the pits. He's into the pits on lap 25 on the hards.
Well, that is a surprise. So that's going to be another stop, because he can't do 32 laps on the mediums. So he's going to want to go quickly now, maybe a medium and a soft stint. But yeah, that
Shooter. I'll say Suter just got past Zolt for P7, I saw, and very good overtake there from Schlichter to kind of recuperate his losses that he had from the spin, and have Lucas Murno on his books. He's about Jan Gragfest 5 seconds. He's 2 seconds away, so Murder's about 12. So if Schluter's got 2 seconds to try and make the pass, so we'll see what's happened. But yeah, this was just for the start finish rate. As soon as we were seeing Briliac with that very surprise pits, and that was actually a ground effect. It was a ground effect overtake as well. And Schluter, did his real best to kind of defend from Zolt, and defend he has done so. As Zolt was trying to make it a double overtake on exit, but Mark denied him that privilege of doing so. So again, pretty good work there. Brilek just exit through. He's says he has overtaken Zalianis already, so he's up into 9th already. Laho has got the DRS in hand as Saracino punches his tickets into the pits.
Saracino into the pits. I'll keep an eye on the tyres for you. And with Burlak, I mean, we were surprised with Burlak, Saracino from the hard to the medium. With Burlak, we were caught by surprise a bit by him pitting fairly early, but I guess that's about what you do if you were two-stopping, but starting on the hard. So he's clearly planned to run a two-stop, but take the hard at the beginning, and but not try to run super long on them. So Peter Burlak will now want to be going pretty quick on the mediums.
Etzebit seems to be struggling to those tyres a little bit already, but he's already got the overtake done on Cazzanieri for P12, as he's, again, still eyeing for a top 10 finish. It is truly possible on his times. He's about 4 seconds away from Saracino of doing so. Saracino does have fresh mediums, however. And of course, the race has been full of attrition. Lap 26 out of 57, already seen 3 DNFs. So there's a possibility for maybe a little bit more on the cards. Zolt, which has the DRS on Mark Schlitter for P6. but I don't think he's quite close enough to make a move. Still right on with Jan Grankvist, though. He is coming to Munir now. 1.7 seconds between himself and the first of the podium series currently at the moment. All on the mediums. Alex Laho. Alex Laho is currently to second, having started at P6. I didn't expect him this early on to actually already be in a fighting chance of the win. I would expect that to have been a lot later, but again, that's a testament of Alex's talent here.
Ruben van der Hudding just seemed to retire within the last lap. He pulled into a pit, to the pits, got a tyre change, and then exited the game. So not sure what happened there. I guess we'll find out later on.
If he can't change his tyres, then it might not have been the only one, because we've seen that before in Pro. But we'll see if the tyre compound change, if it failed, maybe if that was the reason why he retired. But let's have a look here. He's into the pits. The telemetry seems fine. Switches the compound.
Yeah,
Looks to
switches
still
from
be
a medium to a hard. So yeah, strange one.
Huh. Weird. Well, that's another retirement in our hands, so that means we've got just 15 cars running, which means that if everyone finishes, everyone will score points here, as the FSR point system goes from P1 all the way down through to P15. Of course, that would be if everyone finishes. I think also 90% race distance counts for points finishes as well. So there is also that for you to keep in mind. Jan Grankvist onto the softs though. Louis Comedy is the first one on his bucket list to make the overtake, as he uses the DRS onto the outside of the start, finish straight into turn 1 he goes, and that is Grankvist. That's the kind of overtake that he needs upon his crest on those softs. And
Alex Zeuuw just saved a massive throttle oversteer moment exiting the first complex. Exactly the same thing that happened to Mark Schluter, but he just managed to catch it. Because I was riding on board with Alex Zeuuw, about to comment on how he's really brought himself back into the game here. He was a bit of a sleeper for the first section of this race. He's pitted once, he's on the hards, but running in second place on pace. But yeah, almost had a Hail Mary moment exiting the first complex.
Again, massive improvement there from Laho, and well, I think it's cost him just a little bit of time, but not too much at the end of the world for Zed. The Finnish teammate that he's got behind him, though, will try his best to, well, not take P2 away, but they're both on completely different strategies. So since they're on the same team, they both can work together and just find themselves a way to kind of fend off from Brashok's lead. I think ideally just Grankvist will get the lead without much fuss from Laho, and then do his best to utilise the stronger soft tyres to catch up to Brashok and hope for a fight. And that's probably what's going to happen there. Laho, no fighting at all, no sort of resistance at all from his teammate Grankvist, and there you go, he's done it once again. He's managed to save it on exit, but that might put himself a bit under trouble there from Munir behind. Munir doesn't actually use the DRS though this time round, because he, I think, was just outside the DRS range. But yeah, through to turn 4, Jan Grankvist has got 2 places in the span of 2 laps, and now he's got Janis Brashok, Naxala Janis, into the pits. That's Cataneri and Snowden going side by side. Cataneri holds on, takes P11, I believe, from Snowden. The highest placed, or the sole valet car now is doing pretty well. Giuseppe has just not quite reaching out to the top 10. Since has come into the pits, everyone has kind of been bumped up from below him. So yes, a bit back to the point square position, for instance. Back to the top 10. Oh, goodness me, Cataneri, great save there on the exit out of turn 8. And again, that could have been here. We've seen a lot of people struggling on this track surface and trying to keep it straight. It's not just Mark Schluter that we've seen, or Leila, but it's Cataneri and Laho, for instance, which is quite. I'm a little bit surprised from that.
Well, it's that kind of circuit. Funnily enough, I was doing a bit of research about this track and reading up on it. I've driven here before, but in the sim. But this was Herman Tilke's first Middle Eastern circuit, and he deliberately set about having some long straights, but having slow to medium speed complexes, placing a real emphasis on traction. So if you're constantly coming out of a fairly slow corner onto quite a long straight, you are really wanting to put the pedal down hard as quickly as you can. So it is an absolute game of skill to get that traction down and not lose control. And yeah, it's part and parcel of doing well on this circuit is getting to the edge of that limit but not stepping over it, and we've seen both of those things happen.
It's a true testament of patience. Bahrain has seemed to be. It's quite very interesting to learn about all the different characteristics that FSR kind of navigates through, and the World Championship really does showcase that not just through within the rFactor 2, but also kind of the real racing world side of things as well. Oh my goodness me, Zeuuw goes wide, spins round! Oh dear, that's out of the exit out of turn 11, and Yatamale has, oh goodness me, he's dropping down. I think he's going to lose 2 places in the process. Loses one, he loses the other, and wow, we were just talking about patience. Zeuuw loses it. Oh dear, and he's suffering it for again on the exit out of turn 13 it was, onto the stretch, and the front wing is gone. Has that caused another retirement? It has. And Zeuuw, another retirement added to our book, so we've got 5 retirements already. And I'm looking for the replay to see what happened. We've got the telemetry at hand, and he's running comfortably over here. Didn't quite turn enough in for the apex. He's gone wide. He's off the racing surface, and I think it must have been the lack of grip that he couldn't able to, you know, keep it straight. You know.
Yeah, it looked very much like he just got a little bit greedy coming into turn 11, the left-hander. Ran a little bit wide, but it wasn't a disaster. But then he put the boot into it a little bit too eagerly when I think his outside wheels were off the racing surface. Big spin. Now that would have overheated his tyres really badly. And then of course he had no grip for the next right-hander, and ran wide again and put the boot into it when he didn't have any.
Lahore was the one that also got in. You were talking about that, so he had a big moment on the exit out of turn 13, and just about brushes the wall. Does make contact with it, but I don't think it's too much that he's got suspension damage, and he's very lucky to have continued on. But again, that's cost him time, and that's allowed for Munyu to get into P3 very comfortably now. 4 seconds between themselves. And that's allowed for Grankfest to be completely exposed now upon his quest for Baron Shock, because Lahore, who's going to be a big beneficiary from Grankfest going on the softs, is not going to reap those benefits anymore.
Yeah, it's been a tricky build-up to this competition. Not the least of which was caused by my good self pressing the wrong button. But then Alex also had a total game freeze. So we had to wait a minute while he restarted either his computer or rFactor 2 to get back in. All of those things unsettle you a bit. You know, it's nice to have the perfect preparation and come into it doing all the little warm-up routines that you normally want to do. But we've had a couple of delays, and we've had a game freeze, and Alex is probably just not enjoying this race as much as he might have done otherwise, and I think that probably the race director's office might be receiving some correspondence after this round, but it's richly deserved.
His race isn't completely over, though. Even though he is about 9 seconds, he's still got time to kind of make a clutch and make his way back up. He was already P6 at the start of qualifying and found himself challenging for the lead with Brashok. So we still got less than half a race distance to go, so a podium is still on the cards on his end. Just needs to be able to make the right strategy call to be able to utilize that. But still, as we're on through 33.57, it is Brashok leading. Grankfest still in the softs, 2.5 seconds away from him, and then following through Media of the Pulse Center, he completes over for the top 3. He's about 5 seconds away from Jonas at the moment. Alex,
yeah.
It's into 4th, and Lucas Murno. Lucas Murno, I think, has done the most overtakes out of any driver that we have seen thus far, because he's into 5th at the moment, which is widely impressive from the Epsilon hosting driver.
So Grandquist just checked, he's 10 laps into his soft tyre stint, and he's making it work very well for himself. But it'll be interesting to see. Might only be a couple more laps that he can do. And it's brought him back up to within 2.7 seconds of Janos. Janos's medium tyres are a bit older, but Jan's softs should be well past their best now. So Jan at the moment, Janos Brakshock does have the upper hand at the moment with a 2.5 second lead. Both of them needing to pit. Both of them needing to pit onto hards. So it's going to be a straight fight from the next pit stop home. But courtesy of his 2-stop strategy, we've only got, 23 laps left in the race. That's a very easy hard tyre stint, particularly this late in the race. Low fuel, a lot of rubber on the circuit. Drivers have got their eye in. The hards just feel bulletproof in the final stint of these events. So Janos is going to have a hard tyre stint, but they're going to feel like medium because his car's nice and light. So yeah, bring it on. Let's see what happens.
Peter Brillack, a great overtaking against Lucas Murno on the fresher mediums. He's up into P5. He's the old beer Lucas Murno on the exit out of turn 9. Turn 8. Nearly loses it, but keeps the car straight. But that's cost him time to Brillack, but also Mark Schluter behind, who's very, very eagerly trying his best to invite himself back in the picture. He's still 7 seconds away from the leading pack that starts with Laho. As we've just seen a yellow flag. Zeuuw has retired. No, sorry. Wait. Has he retired? Yeah, we've already seen that.
We saw him retire a while back.
Sorry. There was someone that had a yellow flag somewhere. I just saw on the minimap, so I couldn't quite see who it was. Thank you for that, Remco. Apologies for everyone to the views, but it was Giuseppe Saracino down into turn 10, and that looks to be pretty early in the accelerator for Giuseppe. A little bit too eager, and just does 180 the opposite way, but does recover himself back up. He's still in 8th at the moment.
Okay, Schluter looking very ambitious on the back of Lucas Murno at the moment in a battle for 6th place. He's had DRS down the straight. He's had DRS out of the first complex up to turn 4, and really putting a lot of pressure on Lucas Murno.
Yep, he really is, and Murno has enjoyed the privilege of being in a high position that he is. Could find himself losing 2 positions in a span of 2 laps, but certainly going to try his best to kind of hold it in for dear life. Mark Schluter, though, onto a easier compound though, and has all the time in the world to kind of really properly push it. Will be able to do so. I'm just looking. Jan Grandquist is losing time to Janos, right?
Yes, he is. Yep. He's lost about a second since over the last lap or so. So, yeah, it looks like Jan's softs are kind of going away from him a bit.
28-1, 40-0, and 22-6. So that has cost him dearly. And I don't think if he comes to the pits now, then it's going to do kind of more harm than good for his strategy. So that's quite a short time to have been on the softs, though, because it's that's actually the money.
It's about right, Amir. 12 laps or so. You've got to use them up. You've got to drive them hard. Otherwise, there's no point having them, and there's no point trying to protect them. But they have gone away from him now.
Oh dear. Murno tries to have a look for an overtake against Schluter, unable to do so. So Schluter does get into 6th. Murno has dropped down through to 7th, but I think that didn't really help Murno much favours. So, okay, so our predictions for the softs were about right. So that means that since they've don't really have much use, we can expect to see Grandfist come into the pits probably around this lap. Otherwise, he's going to risk getting overtaken by Munier on track. So I think with Grandfist started the mediums soft, so he's surely going to go into the mediums and make that last for the rest of the race. I think every one of the two stoppers is pretty much going to do that, I believe.
But I don't think Grandquist has. Actually, yeah, he's run 2 compounds, so he's run a medium and a soft, so he can decide which one he wants to run home on. 21 laps on the medium, relatively long medium stint actually. So yeah, we'll see pretty soon. He's in the pit lane now. We'll see what he grabs. So
we're going to see in relative. He should be fine in traffic. This is what we won't have much dirty air or much overtake, so we will have like a brief moment for that air. His teammate Laho is into the pits as well. Same with Lucas Murno. So they're both going to have their presumably last stints to the end with 19 laps left to go on the clock. Grandfist comes out ahead on 5th in the mediums. Lucas Murno and Alex Laho is exit for the pits. He's into 7th. He's got Giuseppe Saracino maybe to worry about just a little bit. Alex Laho's onto the hards.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me really because it's a long medium stint. 21 laps is a pretty long medium stint. These are around 17 or 18 laps and they're starting to go away. Which brings me to the subject of our leader, our race leader, Janos Brakshock. He ran 19 laps, I think, on his first mediums. He's run 18 laps on his second set of mediums. So within a lap or two, we're going to see the leader pit. He's got 4.8 seconds over second place. And Janos should be pitting any time to bolt on a fresh set of tyres for the run home. But they're going to have to be hards because he's only run mediums so far. He's got to take another compound and he won't endeavour to get home from here on softs.
I think the big question is I'm not quite sure with these tire compounds just how easy it is to push the hards, because I think it does kind of differ between I think not just with cars but also with whatever tires are kind of using rFactor 2. But I found whenever I'm driving, like, I find it really hard to make the hards depreciate faster than what they're designed for, and if that's going to be the case easier for like Laho for instance, then then I think that kind of does tell just how much flexibility that there is into the tire life in these FSR cars. And if that's the case, then Laho's done a pretty good strategy, I think, and Grandfist also a similarly good strategy. So that means that Grandfist is going to hope to be conservative and Laho going to be more aggressive. So that's what we're probably going to see relative to their own individual performances, I reckon. With 19 laps left, or 18 laps left to go. You said expect to see Brakshock come into the pit, so I think he should be able to go through onto this lap. If he does enter the pits, he'll still be ahead of, I think he'll just be about ahead of Grandfist, I believe, because the pit time delta is 22 seconds around like that?
Yeah, 22. I think I had crew chief time it for me, had a clean stop, and crew chief said 22 seconds, so I think that's about right. So yeah, that would slot Grandfist in just after Lloyd Munier, but before Saracino.
So Brakshock pits now. Schluter on the hards, back onto the mediums. So we're going to see, there's Grandfist now. He's going to X out through the start finish right there. It's Brakshock as well. Briliak, Schluter, both overtaken. Brakshock has gone for the softs. So everyone is kind of picking different compounds. They have different ways of envisioning on how they're going to see for the rest of this race. But the softs is pretty surprising because we haven't seen them last more than 15 laps, right?
Yeah, we haven't, and so he's got to do 18 laps on them. That's three.
That's 3 laps more than anyone else.
I find tyres very interesting, but that is one of the most hard to understand decisions we've seen yet. But and pitting from the lead, he didn't need to do anything funky either. If he just grabbed hards, they were not going to catch him. The guys behind him were
retired.
Luke Munier retired.
Oh my goodness! I just saw on the mini map it was into turn 8 that happened for the MV Conquest driver, but one of the people that was touted to win after starting from pole position, the post-it retires. Oh no! What's happened to him?
just looked like he got the throttle on when he still had a bit of steering lock to me.
Wow. And that's another person that's been caught out by the track, as we said, the bit of the elevation as well. Just another spin that's happened, and oh dear, it's just the grapple trap didn't slow him down, and just ricocheted into the wall off, and then his front wing's gone, and oh dear, that's a big blow, not just for Mooney, but also for the MV Conquest outfit, because now they're going to rely solely on Petter for points now, and that's not going to do any favors on their quest to kind of reach to LAM MV for the Constructors Championship.
Yeah, real shock. I mean, Loic is one of the very top drivers on the grid, and it just did look like he'd run wide and put the throttle in with a bit of steering lock there, and paid a heavy price. Mark Schluter has played himself back into second position, but wow, this will be a... What have you seen?
Sorry, contact between Benson and Zalianis, going to go side by side through once again. Zalianis swings with the outside for the S's. A great overtake for the ultimate eSports. That was so close. But lucky Benz does manage to make the overtake happen. What were you saying, by the way?
Oh, just observing that Mark Schluter is back up into second place after his earlier travails, but it remains a question of Peter Burlak pitting again. With 16 laps to go on for mediums again, so he's gone hard, medium.
Everyone's got very weird, not very weird, but very interesting ways on the tire compound choices, because he's not quite within soft territory, but he's almost on the verge of it. Mooney does confirm that his throttle spring died at turn 7, which does explain the spin into that one. So it's very unfortunate there for Mooney, and very stunning to hear that. Race still goes on ahead though. Schluter just holds on to lead just about, but Brashak will have the softs and is going to hope to try and make it as quick as he needs it to be. He's going to hope for the battle with... He's going to hope his battle with Mark is not going to be as long... well, not as long, but not as long as it needs it to be. Not just for their sake, for Grenfell's catching up, but also for Brashak's tires. And that's kind of the gamble that you have to take on these tires, because you're kind of placing your bets on how quick you're going to make these battles end. And sometimes it can be the case for where it does end up quick right down to the wire. In other cases it doesn't. But here we go, Schluter a little bit squirrely on the exit. Comfort to the final corner. Janos Backshot will have the DRS, and with the better tires makes his way past through and swings his way on through to take the lead of the race. Lap 42 out of 57. Mark Schluter doing his best to respond, but Janos, just with that better tyre compound, is going to be able to try to pull away from Mark.
I'm just going to check when Mark put on those tyres. It's a while ago now. It was lap 21. So he's 21 laps into these hards, and there's 15 to go. Well, it's doable. It'll be a pretty amazing effort to pull a second place back out of this if Mark hangs in there.
If he pits now, he has the opportunity to pit, but he'll be behind Lucas Murno. And I think he's the more that he continues on these hards, the more that window is kind of dropping more out of reach. Tucson into the pits as well. I think he is going to... I think Tucson is changing over for a couple. He's going to not be behind. He might lose up to P12 to Sweezy. Sweezy just for the start finish straight. Tucson exiting that through as well. But Schluter's still on with him. We'll see if he's going to go into the pit. No, he's not going to go into the pit. So I think if that's the case, I think he might really try his best to see to the end of these tires. Which, if that's the case, that his best chance is going to be P3 at this point. because Laho can maybe try his best, but he's about 14 seconds away, and considering these margins are pretty fine, I think if Schluter can just keep out on these hards, I think he's got well and truly got a chance for P3. But if he moves on into a soft compound now, then he has got to catch up to what Murdo, Burlak and Laho for 3 seconds in the softs, which is quite a hard ask. Janssen bits on with him now. He's running it now. He's going to try to overtake Katsuri for P8 with the DRS in hand. We'll have the inside line come down to turn 1. Clean overtake there from the Timno driver, and Janssen's up into P8.
He's had a good drive, hasn't he? That's 11 places gained from his 19th spot on the grid.
Yeah, Janssen's done very well, especially when you consider his first race in Zeuuw didn't quite end as favorable as he's what he's really showcasing his talents here from Timno in the World Championship as well. I think his first race was with Team Supernova, fellow one. So yeah, fantastic race from Vince and Murdo. Been both incredibly good so far in the secure circuit today, and honestly, just my hats off goes off to both Janssen and Lucas for what they have done.
So Jan Granquist in third place is going about a second quicker, or between 0.6 and 0.9 of a second quicker than Schluter in second place, 4.5 second gap. So there's a good chance Granquist may catch him. Schluter's on those very old hards. Granquist is on mediums, which he took on lap 23. Well, his mediums are nothing to write home about either. Oh no, pardon me, lap 37. So his mediums are less than 10 laps old, 7 or 8 laps old. Granquist is going to put a lot of pressure on Mark Schluter. We'll see what happens.
Lots and lots of unknowns, uncertainties. Even though that Brashuk is leading, there's no real true certainty if he'll be able to win. I mean, of course, it is very good for himself. It does seem poised and positioned for it to do it. They can really change it in an instant, and no phrase is better represented than that probably here in the Formula SimRacing World Championship, and especially for how 2026 has been going, for how the first two races have gone. It's well, we've seen similar such situations, similar such moments already here in Bahrain, and the race hasn't even concluded yet. Right on board with Perrin now. He's applying the pressure onto Laho. Laho isn't done. Laho's finding himself under pressure from Burlak, and Burlak on course for, I think this is going to be his highest finishing position if he does make the overtake up against Laho with the DRS in hand to the inside line on turn 1. And he's going to try and make it close. Laho tries his best to fend off, but Burlak holds on to the, well, right down to the middle of the track on the exit out of turn 3. Down through to turn 4 they go. Laho's going to look for the outside line, unable to do so. Is going to try look for the inside, also unable to do so. And Petter, fantastic move. He gets into P4.
Yeah, that was absolute textbook, wasn't it? Just so neat, so precise. Good hard racing between the two guys.
45 out of 57 now, on with Granquist now. He's eyeing for, well, he's kind of in the midst of no man's land, but he's going to try his best to slowly pick away for his battle with Mark Schluter. I think Mark Schluter has got to, he's finished P2 in his championship defense in, after winning the Winter Series and the World Championship, I think it was. He did get second place on his race back in WC, and after that finished 4th back in Suzuka, and now he's going to complete through to a second podium this season on his end. Jan Granquist himself had got P3 in Albert Park, and well, he's gonna, if he makes the overtake on Mark Schluter, it's gonna be his highest recorded finishing in the FSR World Championship, at least this season. And again, you can just sort of see the fight that's just sort of been like brewing a little bit, and Schluter has done, you know, pretty remarkable to make those hards last as long as they have done, but he's gonna make them last even more with 10 extra laps. That's it's a lot on it. It's a lot on his hands. It's a lot on his plate. I'm just curious if he thinks he's aiming for maybe P2, or if he knows he's going to lose to Jan Grankfest, so he's just going to hope for P3. I wonder.
Yeah, part of me is thinking the same thing, Amir. He looks back to Peter Burlak, and that's Peter's 12 seconds behind him. And perhaps Mark is thinking, well, if Jan gets me, at least I can hang on to third and just nurse these tyres home and use up that 12-second margin. So there is a good chance of that happening. I'm still curious about what Janos Brakshock is going to do in the lead on these soft tyres, and maybe he's mentally also just working out that he can, from where he is now, he can kind of cruise and just really, really look after these tyres like somebody on a budget.
I mean, the big advantage for Janos is that not only is he on a soft compound, but also the fuel's getting less and less, so he's getting able to push in almost on the verge of qualifying runs to the end of the race, and that's going to allow for the gap between Schluter and himself to pull away even more. That even if Grankfest does make a very easy overtake on Mark, which as we can see is now caught up to about 6/10 now, so that's with the DRS range. Even if Grankfest makes the overtake on Schluter now, he's still got 10 laps to make up 5 seconds against Brashok, who's on softs and is also on a lower fuel load, and it's a little bit of a hard task for the Finnish driver to really kind of follow that. So as well for Jan, he can also maybe see ahead and think maybe second's the best I could do. But again, we can't really tell what these drivers are thinking, at least because we don't really have team radio, do we?
Well, the really bizarre thing is that if ever you thought there was going to be a lot of two-stoppers and a lot of different compound used, it looked like Suzuka was the track for that, because Suzuka was really hard on tyres. And we've arrived here at Bahrain, a track that's quite easy on the tyres. You can do quite long stints. And we've seen everything. We've seen all the compounds used, people using softs, people using 2 sets of mediums and the hard. So we've seen a lot of diversity here on a track where you wouldn't necessarily think it was going to happen. Granquist getting very close to Mark Schluter now for second. Mark making it as hard as he can.
Yeah, he did. He tried to move a little bit to kind of scare Grankfest a little bit. But Grankfest didn't budge, hugs into the outside line, and a fantastic move allows for Grankfest to get up into P2. Mark Schluter is going to respond, but the one-stepper can't really do much with the tyres that he's had. So that's Grankfest up into P2. So he's got, his last lap time was a 1:30.0, and Janos Brakshock's last lap time was a 1:29.4. So that's kind of the proper difference that we could see between the softs and the mediums already. And again, 9 laps left to go. It's I think Janos will be pretty happy with the way he's led. You weren't talking about the variety of tyre compounds, but I think when you've mentioned before how the tyre wear is much less than Suzuka, I'm wondering if the less tyre wear means that it gives drivers a more variety of strategies to utilize, I wonder, rather than like a high tyre wear one, I think.
Well, yeah. I mean, by going for the two-stop, you can be very quick for a while. And also, there's a safety aspect too, I think, because as we've seen, it is so easy to get a whole bootload of throttle oversteer here exiting some of these slower complexes. So maybe that was part of it too. Burlak, by the way, is
Mark Schluter in the pits! Sorry to break you. Mark Schluter just entered into the pits.
Well, there we are.
Is that too late to make a pit stop? He's surely gone onto the softs and he's got 9 laps to do it. But that's allowed for Burlak to go through. That's going to allow for Laho to go through. That's going to allow for, I think, Murno to go through as well. And is that too late of a pit stop for Schluter, do you think?
Well, 8 laps to go. It definitely looks like it wasn't the plan, because if he was planning to do that, he would have stopped with 12 laps to go. But I think he just realised that he was going to get swamped and have too many people going past him. But he is going to have to find a lot to catch back up to Lahu in 4th. He's got to find 9 seconds in 8 laps. So this is going to be Mark Schluter doing qualifying laps from here till the checkered flag.
And not only that, he's going to hope that his overtakes are going to be as quick as he like. And he's got Berno to worry about, he's got Laho to worry about, and I don't think he's that far enough to kind of catch Brilak. I think with the time that he has, I definitely think he'll catch up to Berno, but Laho is a really, really big question mark. And again, I think we've had this discussion earlier. Schluter's call to the pits was 4, 5, 6 laps earlier than it is now. I think that opportunity might have sailed away from Schluter sadly from that from having the pistol. I wonder if he was realizing he was just burning so much time than what he expected that he realizes that it was going to be completely unmanageable towards the end of the race. And if that's the case, then considering the amount of people that we have seen spawn round, maybe that also influenced his decision. He would much rather finish than, you know, risk not finishing just to get a podium.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's a very real possibility that he just figured that they were no longer safe, that the hards had gotten to a point where, because the, you know, the rear grip, you know, when the hards go away, you really do struggle in the lower speed complexes and in the non-aero dominated corners, and this of course is full of those. The circuit is full of those types of corners.
Yeah, it's just so easy to kind of not get it wrong, but just it comes to really bite you in really sad ways, and does catch you out whenever you kind of least expect. So, I think if it is a case of safer than taking risks, then I can totally agree with Mark Schluter. After, of course, the thing that really does matter in the case for the long run is that you do score points, and every point in the championship does matter, because we have seen in the past the World Championship has been down to the very fine margins. By some point, I think even a point as well was the difference that someone clinched the Formula SimRacing World Championship. So if that's the case, then that's what Mark Schluter is eyeing for in order to defend his crown. He's going to that extent for that, and we'll see how that pays off in the long run for the season. But lap 51 and 57, still 6 laps to go for Schluter to put on those softs, as we see on with Katsuniri follows with Zeuuw behind. This is going to be in a battle for P9 that's kind of gently buried up, about 5/10 off from one another, not quite close. 2022 is decided by a point. Thank you very much, Edward, as he's there on the YouTube chat. But 3 points. 3 points it was.
Mark Schluter has just taken a full second off the, or sorry, 0.8 of a second off the fastest lap of the race with a 1:27.867. So he's absolutely flying. He'll be kicking himself that because the one driver he would have definitely wanted to come home ahead of would have been Alex Zeuuw, the current leader of the World Drivers' Championship. But he's giving it a good shake of catching up. He's 2.5 seconds now behind Lucas Murno.
He's also 2 seconds quicker than Alex as well, so that's not biding his time to Lucas. It's going to bide it to, well, not to Lucas, it'll bide it to Alex as well. But look at this. Oh, dear God! Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. Is that contact? That was contact. Katsuniri got punted from behind by Zeuuw, as Zeuuw gets into 9th, but it does give the position back to Katsuniri at least, so my goodness me, that was very late on the brakes, and Gee, that could have... I thought the front wing was almost gone out of Katsuniri, but luckily he's managed to get the place back, and look at the replay. I think it was that a bit too late on the brakes there from Zeuuw.
It's going to be lots of interesting conversations going on after this race. I think it's going to be a busy week in the forums in the steward's office.
Yeah, but I think George did the polite thing, did give the position back to Giuseppe, and as a result, it's the Valley eSports that retakes into 9th, and Zeuuw have to recuperate and find a way to make for an overtake again. But one ground effect onto the other. Mark Schluter has now caught up to Lucas Murno. Last lap, we said was 27.813. The first sector, 27.2. So he's about 6/10 quicker than the Brazilian up ahead, who's they're both on similar pace, Laho and Murno, I've realised. So I think Schluter's going to try his absolute best to catch to Alex. And I think if he continues that pace that he's been doing with the 27, and if Alex still does a 29, Of course, there's the push to pass in hand. Zalianis, there you go, against Cantoneri. This time swings around for the outside of turn 4. And Cantoneri a little bit too eager on the frontal, goes a bit sideways. But Zalianis takes to P9, this time without any sort of issues whatsoever. And the Ground Effect SimRacing team has finally get themselves P6 and P9 respectively. And now on to Schluter, has the DRS.
On Murno, yep.
Yep, here we go. Makes the overtake onto the inside line. Lucas Moore going to do his best to respond, but with the tires that he has, is unable to do so. And Schluter, very easy as you like, gets himself up into P5. And now the question is, can he catch up to Zeuuw? I think it is possible because it's about 3 seconds or so. And they've got about 4 laps left to go. So it's just got to do about, gain like a second, a lap of that, plus the final lap to make an overtake.
Well, he's only 2 seconds behind, and going very, very quickly. Zeuuw's last lap 29.6, Mark's last lap 28.1, 1.5 seconds quicker. Zeuuw's on a hard, Mark of course on the soft.
Yep, so I think that could be the way it is. Janusz Brakczak has lost time to Jan Granfus, so Granfus is about 5/10 quicker, but with the time left remaining, Granfus I think will just still remain in second position. Peter Brelak has actually done very well. One of the few to have started on the hards, and he's ended up in P3 with, even though it was a pretty short hard study he's done, he's made fantastic use to the mediums to utilize it much for its worth, and the mediums means that he will be on quest for his best finishing result actually for the team this season.
Were you just talking about Peter Burlak?
Yes, I was.
Yeah. Sorry, I was. My attention was diverted. Yeah, absolutely. Peter be really awesome. Warms my heart to think that Peter Burlak will have his first podium here in 2026. He is an FSR legend, and it's just a fantastic thing to have him back again, racing with MV Conquest.
Properly deserved as well for how well he has treated his tires throughout the race, and even in the case of low tire degrading circuits, it races really do reward you for whenever you treat your tires right. Mark Schluter has the DRS onto Alex Zeuuw, and now it's just going to be a battle of amount of time, even earlier than what we've expected. I expected it to be about 2 laps, and he's done it in about one and a bit. So Schluter, goodness me, the dirty air means that he has to be pretty careful in terms of the steering. Straight onto exit now. Just being a little bit wide, he's moved right down to the inside line, not giving Schluter any sort of slipstream whatsoever. He's going to try his best to fend for P4 as best as possibly can. And onto the start finish straight now, Schluter's going to follow through down behind. And regardless how inside Zeuuw's going to do, he'll still have the DRS Schluter and the slipstream in hand. And Zeuuw makes it back onto the outside line. Schluter doesn't quite dig it in. No, there you go. He finally commits into it. Right down to the middle. Zeuuw does his best to respond, but I don't think he's quite close enough to be able to do so. Straight onto the exit. Schluter will have the DRS, but Zeuuw is going to have the slipstream a little bit. He has a chance to respond down into turn 4, but again, Schluter just with the superior tires and a very, very good overtake means that he has got into 4th.
That was just an absolute mastery of overtaking there. He braked so late, fully exploited the soft tyres that he had, because he didn't even have overlap when they entered into the braking zone, but he certainly had bootloads of overlap when they turned in, and incredible bit of competition. And what we're watching, of course, we're watching the reigning world champion battling for position with the guy who's leading the world championship. And remember, this is only round 3. We've got 7 more rounds after this, and this is quite an incredible thing for Mark Schluter, having had that big spin, if you recall, early on in the race, to have recovered and managed to, as I said before, to finish in front of the guy who was leading the championship. So amazing work.
Contact again between Zalianis and Cantoneri. That was on the exit of turn 4. Luckily it didn't end as bad as it did just a few laps prior, but that still was a bit of a front wing tap there from Zalianis, and it's going to hope for no damage. Alex Zeuuw still has DRS from Mark Schluter, still holding into it for dear life, but don't think is able to do so. But Still, the race goes on ahead. We've got 2 laps left to go, and must say it's been a fantastic showing from pretty much everyone all around. And we still got a bit. No fight is quite over just yet. I think Zeuuw is doing his absolute best to pull away from Leho. I think he might have just finally left that grasp, and well, I think that gap is just a bit too much to catch to Brilak. So that means that Brilak will get his first podium, as we said, this season. But still, in the back, Katsaneri and Zaliana still not done fighting. But Katsaneri is going to try his best to get out of the DRS zone and hopefully put it to bed. I think he's done that now, and they will have 2 laps left to go for themselves. I think that might be it for Giuseppe at the moment. I think it is, at least for this straight here. Down into turns 1 and 2 they go, and then through to 3. But attention back to Mark Schluter. Again, great race from himself, especially when you've considered the sort of problems that he had faced at the start of the race, not just from the spin, but also the pit box as well. So he's already been cost a lot of time. The fact that he's just so close to on the verge of for what has been pretty much, let's say, maybe like an incidental strategy, shall we say, because he did come in quite early and made those hards last as long as he possibly can. And with the last minute call into the softs as well, that means that he's done very well to hold on to 4th, and it's just so very close to P3. In fact, he's going to try his absolute best to get into Brilak though. He's going to try his best, but he's about a second away, and I think he might have the DRS come through. I don't think he'll have enough time to go for the DRS. He's certainly going to try his best. Now, the flap traffic ahead of that is Sweezy, I believe, or Snowden. Sorry, it is, I think it is Tucson actually, but no, it's not, it's Sweezy, my bad. But yeah, with that in mind, does move out the way. Peter, I think Peter just about holds on to P3 at the very last moment, but Janusz Brakschok has done incredibly well for what that he has done. He's gotten 6 pole positions over the course of his World Championship career. And this time he's going to come through to the final corner, and he takes the race win as he wins the Bahrain Grand Prix in Formula SimRacing World Championship. It is the first win for himself this season. It's the first win for Guatemala this season. Jan Gregvis completes over through to 2nd place. Peter Brennan just about fends up for Mark Schluter with a very aggressive offense from Mark Schluter. Couldn't quite get the job done. One more lap, one more DRS, and it would have been it. Mark Schluter would have gotten P3. Alex Leho, who had won the first 2 races, finishes in P5. Lucas Murner, a great recovery for himself. He was started in P9. He's up into P6. Giuseppe Saracino up into 7th. Jansen Bitz from P19 to P8. Jordan Zalianis and Giuseppe Katsaneri finished their battles, and it is the ground effect that beats the Valet eSports driver. I think come through to the line, as I actually know they're still going to go on ahead through to the very last moment, as they're going to exit out through to the final few quarters. Snowden and Tucson are still in a battle as well for P11, so this is going to be just let's see who can get the most points between these two in this battle. Zanayanas comes out through to the final corner ahead of Katsaneri, and it is going to be the Greek driver that will be outscoring the Italian here today. And William Snowden through to the final corner on his end. Tucson does his best to have a look down for the inside. He is not quite close enough, and that will mean that the 7 arrows will get P11 and P13. Snowden goes for across the line and just about beats Tucson to the line. But Janusz Brakschok, what a brilliant win it was for himself. I think it is, if my memory is correct, it's his 2nd race win in the World Championship.
Yeah, I think it is. He hasn't won one this season. He got one at the end of last season. And yeah, I just had a feeling about Janos. He was so quick in the practice session. And Alex Lehoux was predicting that he was going to win, although they sometimes say that tongue-in-cheek to each other. So incredible drive by Janos, and unbelievable 18-lap stint on the soft tyres. I can't wrap my head around that. And Granquist in 2nd, Peter Burlak in 3rd, and Mark Schluter in 4th. 4 different teams occupying the
Hi guys,
top 4.
welcome to this track preview of Bahrain,
as well.
a real power track.
But yeah, incredible strategic race and incredible on the basis of pure pace as well.
Final provisional final race results though. Janusz Brakschok, his last win was last season in Mexico, so now he is a repeat winner in the FSR World Championship, and a fantastic way to clinch that. Jan Grankvist does his best finish of second this season for Allianz NV, and for the first time ever this season beats his teammate. Peter Briliak completes through, as we said, his first podium for MV Conquest, as he's runs off through to the podium places, with Mark Schluter just narrowly missed out on the podium, as he is in fourth for Grand Effect SimRacing team, but it does be ahead of the championship leader of Alex Laho. For the first time ever, not only does he not win, but he's also out of the podium, as he will finish in P5. Lucas Murray from Timnall Hosting is in 6th, with Giuseppe Saracino over in 7th for Square Nation Esports. That is their second highest in their World Championship event, campaign thus far. George Zalianis beats Giuseppe Cataneri through to the line. Zalianis says in line that Cataneri, who completes for the top 10 as the sole point scorer for Vale Esports. Through to P11, William Snowden for 7 Arrows beats Matthew Tucson through to the line, as he's the sole Vicious Motorsport driver to finish. And it's Amine Sweezy for 7 hours. That is the last of the finishes, as he's in P13. With the retirements being Luke Munier and Salt Shoots from 14th and 15th. And then for the rest of them, we have Ruben van der Hudding, Leila Petraglia, Zamia Lekis, and Nando Marcer all retiring as well. So we got 6 retirements as well. But what a race that was. And massive congratulations through to all the podium, and especially through to Janusz Brakschok for, again, his second race win in the World Championship.
That was incredible performance by Janos. He had it covered with pace alone, and why he wanted to give us a heart attack by grabbing softs with 18 laps to go, I'm curious to ask him about. Janos has indicated that he will come in for a quick interview. It's obviously getting late at night now, particularly for those people on mainland Europe, because of the delays we had at the start. So once again, my apologies, entirely my fault. And if you're still here, thanks for bearing with us. But I think we should be able to interview Janos in the next couple of minutes.
We will give it just a few minutes until we have people waiting for an interview. Of course, if they want to do so, we'll give it, shall we say, 2 minutes or so? Or...
Yeah, give it a minute or so to see if he turns up. Just while we're waiting for that, thank you, viewers, for sticking with us. Or if you're watching this later on replay, if you're interested in driving in FSR, come and check out the forums. If you're perhaps enjoying yourself and being quick in one of the Codemasters simulations, or even in Le Mans Ultimate, and you're wondering how you would go against the best drivers in the world, this is where you come to find out at Formula Sim Racing. With a 26-year uninterrupted history from the very, very beginning of online gaming, online racing competitions, FSR has been here. And that's why the winner of the championship is rightfully called the world champion, because this is where the best come to compete at the top level.
Feel free to, if you want to, of course, race in FSR, feel free to also, rFactor 2 is required, but luckily with deals, they can be as little as, I think, €3 as well, is probably the cheapest that's gone around in the Steam sale. Or of course, you can find other ways to obtain it. We do host the server once ever you join or get signed into by a team or whatever. We have a forum as well if you want to sign up. Our Discord available is there, not just for drivers, but also fans of Formula Sim Racing or rFactor 2 in general. Feel free to join along or support your favorite driver, support your favorite team. And also keep up to date for all the news and whatever is going behind the scenes here. As we've just said, we recently had our track vote that everyone everyone can participate. I think it was drivers, team owners, and I think fans as well. And that's how we got the calendar.
The three winners were Silverstone, was it Silverstone, Monza, and Baku?
Yes, it was. Yeah. So those 3 are the ones that are going to set through. You can see the calendar right there. So it's well, not most, at least one, but Azerbaijan just narrowly won by 1 vote, and it makes its FSR debut come in a couple of weeks' time, actually, as we'll be joining there in about, 2 weeks' time, right on the mark, the 10th of May, 2026. I will be here. I'm pretty sure Remco will be here as well. Second edition Villeneuve will host over through to the conclusion of May after also, I think, 3 weeks for that one. And then we've got a little bit of a break. 2 weeks from there, we've got Silverstone, and then we've got Belgium. Belgium is our one of our biggest breaks, I think. Or no, it's not. It's the same. Italy for the 2nd of August, Singapore the 30th of August, and we're concluding championship a little bit early. It is Brazil and Interlagos that will host through the final round of the championship in the 20th of September after Singapore. But yeah, I think that'll be it. Any closing thoughts, David?
Well, thanks everybody for joining us there. Thank you for the drivers for putting on such a good show. It was exciting once we finally got it going, and really interesting race. Incredible driving from a lot of people and a lot of action. So it was a pleasure to be here calling it, and thanks very much for joining us.
Just before we quickly go, Remco, do you have the updated championship standings, perchance? If you do, big thanks as well to him for covering through all the amazing action that we've seen during qualifying and the race. It's always very great to have Remco to have around.
Yeah, thank you, Remco. Thanks for a fantastic job on the cameras.
Yep, no worries. We'll get our. Just realized Schluter and Munir was actually on equal points come for this, but now since Schluter got into his second P4 in the season, that means he's outscored Mark in that regards. But Jan Grankvist has gotten second, his highest place, which means that he's bridged the gap just a little bit more. But I think Alex Laho, having still won the first 2 races and a point score, means that he still leads that one. I think also Matthew Tucson as well, since he's finished as well, means that he's still a regular point scorer. And there we go. There is the championship as it stands. So Alex Laho's gap is closed a little bit. So it was previously 14. I was previously 14. Now it's bumped down to about 11 now between himself and Brashok. Brashok with that points hold means that he jumps from 5th to 2nd. Mark Schluter is dropped just a little bit down, but he's actually on equal points. He was equal points with Luke Brady. Now he's on equal points with Janusz Brachok. So that's pretty funny to think about. Jan Grankvist still holds on to 4th with 47 points. It's Peter Brilak who also increases 1 position from 6th to 5th with 42 points. Luke Media drops down from 3rd down to 6th after his retirement. His first retirement for that for 36 points. William Snowden gets promoted from 8th to 7th with 19 points. Sweezy from 9th to 8th with 16 points. Nandor Marcer drops down from 7th to 9th after his retirement for Grand Effect with 14 points. And Matthew Tucson, been about under our noses, he gets a 2nd consecutive points finish for Evicius Motorsports, as with that 4 points added means that he is also equal to Marcer. So that is us. That's how the season looks to be as we head over to the next round in the Baku City Circuit. We have seen our second race winner in the World Championship in the form of Janusz Brachok, who emerged victorious in the next round in the Baku City Circuit. Make sure to tune us in the 10th of May. We've got the Pro Championship early on, and then we have the World Championship same time, same place around that time. But until then, thank you very much to David O'Reilly for the analysing and for hosting the race service. Thank you very much to Remco de Zeuuw for broadcasting. Thank you very much to all the people in the FSR staff for hosting the server, Thomas Lenz as well, and Edward Hunter. I've been Amir. Thank you all very much for watching. We'll see you over at Baku. Take care.